On. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Therapists Supporting Therapists. And today I have with me the beautiful and talented Lisa Mareb. And she is a clinical social worker and has been doing this for over 16 years. And her specialty is in eating disorders. And I know a lot of us are struggling with food stuff. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you for having me. It's such a privilege to be here. I'm really excited to kind of spread the word and see how we can support our community and our clients right now.
Absolutely. As mental health professionals, we have so many expertise to share with each other, and it's so much fun. Now, you have worked at an eating disorder inpatient, you've done outpatient, you're now in private practice.
Yeah, I've been working as a therapist for 16 years, and then I worked for 9 years at a residential and inpatient eating disorder treatment center here in Denver, Colorado, at all levels of care, doing individual, family, group work. And then I transitioned into doing private practice, where I would say probably 80% of my caseload is eating disorders right now. I take a few other things as well, but I'm mostly working with eating disorders, and I'm very involved with the Eating Disorder Foundation in Denver, which is actually, we can probably put a link to this, but it's a nonprofit that now is running virtual groups, and pretty much anyone across the US can access them. So I can put a link for that as well, and I'm a volunteer facilitator for them as well. So this is kind of my jam.
That's amazing. I'm so glad. And so I just happen to be fortunate enough to know you because you are going to be marrying my brother next year.
We're gonna be sisters, so we're excited about that. Yes.
All right, so 2 therapists are going to be in the family. This should get interesting.
They should run now. No.
Maybe. All right. Well, you mentioned you live in Denver, and from what I understand, Denver is a city that has a shelter-in-place order. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're navigating supporting clients while being at home?
Sure. We have been at a shelter-in-place order for about a week now. I've actually been fairly fortunate because here in Colorado, I would say probably 30% of my practice has actually already was telehealth sessions. We have a population of clients in the Western Slope or southeastern Colorado, rural areas that don't have access to eating disorder specialists. So they would kind of come find me. So I already was operating with like a telehealth platform. And so luckily I was kind of familiar with that, but a lot of my colleagues, it was, it kind of overnight, we had to transform our practice. And I think that the biggest challenges that I heard from my colleagues and myself as well when I started doing telehealth is, how do I connect therapeutically with someone when I'm not in the room, especially if you're a body-centered psychotherapist? I mean, we know that 90% of communication is nonverbal. How am I going to show up to support my clients? And what I kind of had to do was reframe, we're in unprecedented times right now, and everything is okay as it's at. It's okay if my dog barks in the middle of a session. This happens. You might be sharing a space with a partner, and you need to keep the door shut and be in your bedroom. It just really being okay with our own perfectionism. I know a lot of us are perfectionists and we want everything to just go according to plan, and that's just not going to happen now. I even said to a colleague of mine, she was really nervous, like, how am I going to show up for my couples? Like when they're in the room, like that's when the work happens. And I said to her, I've had to reframe this as to, I'm just a familiar face right now. It's okay if I don't use the most mind-blowing interventions. It's okay if it's not the greatest session that we've ever had. For a lot of people, they need a familiar face. They need a consistent face. I've been trying to keep my clients at their like normally scheduled times, so that, they still feel like that they have that consistency. And I really think it's our job as therapists to mirror the human experience, and there's nothing more kind of equalizing right now than the state of the world. And so I've just been doing a lot of, validation. This is really difficult. It is really scary. And, we have to be okay with the fact that we're doing sessions at home and it's not perfect. And I'm in my kitchen nook right now and I'm a human as well. Like, I think there's such therapeutic value in just sharing, like, I'm a human as well. And I'm still here for you. And I might not have all the answers, but I can see your face and still read your energy to some degree. And just acknowledging the limits that exist, I think can be really helpful.
Yeah, you bring that up. And one of the things I think about is performance anxiety. Like, one of the things that I've been doing on Doxy Me is I've been getting rid of my photo so that I'm just focused on them. And it really helps me to feel like, hey, I'm just there with this person.
Mm-hmm. Agree. I know I had to, most of the time I'm in my office and your brother, my fiance, has a giant like dirt biking poster in there, and I keep taking it down. He's like, why do you keep taking Ryan Dungey down? I'm like, because I'm still trying to be professional and still let them know that, like, I'm there for them. This is about them, and that they're not distracted by, things in the background.
Yes, I had the local neighborhood did a teachers parade. And so the teachers all came by honking and waving. And I happened to be on the teacher parade route. And I was in the middle of like a really intense moment in a therapy session. And all of a sudden there's this honking. And it was great for the kids. And I love that they did that, but not so good for telehealth.
Exactly. I've had a lot of those experiences. And again, I think kind of checking, at least for me, I can speak for checking my perfectionism, like, okay, sorry, again, I'm going to mirror that I'm not perfect as well. And, we're in this together.
Yes, we are. And you mentioned being a human being going through this, and that's one of the things that's so different about this time with COVID-19 is that we are experiencing this alongside of our clients at the same time in real time. And so I'm just wondering what it's like for you supporting clients while you're having this human experience.
It's challenging. I kind of, one of my values is transparency, and it's challenging. I have my own anxiety. I have moments where I cry, where I'm angry, where I'm scared, and knowing I have to show up for my clients is really difficult. And I think what I've really tried to do is the same thing I'm telling my clients, right? Stick to some type of routine. So for me, I'm really intentional about, like, an hour before my sessions start, I'm not watching the news. I get up, I shower, I put on work clothes, I put on makeup, I take the dog for a walk, and I operate as if I'm back in the office. And then the flip side, and this has been really key, is we don't have the physical boundary of leaving the office anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So making sure that when I'm done with a session, again, I have an ending routine. I have some type of way to unplug. I can't drive home, so whether it's like taking a shower or going into a couple of yoga poses or listening to your favorite song, I think there's something really important about ending your day as well, because reality is almost all of us are then walking out of the office and greeting family and kids and partners and animals. And we have to take care of our clients. We have to take care of ourselves and our family members, and knowing that we carry so much heavy stuff, as we know, that can bleed quite easily into home life. So I think it's really important to have that physical, start and finish of the workday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been doing that too. I've been going outside and going for walks and like then coming back in. And if my husband's home, like, okay, I'm off work now. And I just announce it in the house.
Yes, yes, I love that. I like that, a verbal declaration. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly.
I'm gonna steal that one.
Do it, take it. Yes. Another thing that I found, like, as I work with people and myself, I'm noticing that we all are filling up our pantries being home every day. can you tell us a little bit about how to navigate these temptations of all of these tasty treats and snacks being in our homes?
I can, and that's a tough one. And so, and I always like to kind of give you a little bit of my frame of reference because how the clients that I work in the background that I have might be different from your average person that doesn't really struggle with disordered eating. So I'm used to treating some fairly severe eating disorders at very high levels of care. So I kind of come from that lens in terms of what we're doing with our food. I subscribe to a non-diet, health at every size mentality, which people can go look up. It's fantastic. But I think the important thing is we're navigating a new normal right now, right? We're home, food is around. What do we do? I'm seeing all of these, memes that I think are meant to be funny, and they're actually really destructive to people with body image issues or food issues, around the quarantine 15 or, me eating all my snacks. And there's a lot of shame language in that I think we have to be careful about. And what I would actually say is it's okay to emotionally eat right now, right? Food can be comfort. And I think that, making sure the vast majority of us giving yourself permission to eat what actually sounds good. And in terms of kind of resisting temptation, what we do know is that food restriction can lead to binging. It can lead to what we would call overeating, although that term is, a little questionable. So really being intentional about actually not restricting yourself might set you up for a healthier relationship with food in the long run. I think we also tend to live in a diet culture which vilifies food, and we do a lot of black and white thinking around like this is a good food and this is bad food. And I think the second we kind of start to educate on ourselves on that's so-called diet culture, and I could talk about that forever, and I'm not going to, but we can probably post up some links. When we can understand that our food is just food, our bodies right now are not going to say, oh, that's kale. I'm going to put that there, but that's a brownie, and I'm going to put that there. Our bodies are designed to digest food. So I think it can kind of relieve pressure when you start to kind of think of like our food is food. And it's okay for me to eat what I need to eat right now. I talk like food can be comfort, food can be love. And right now we need a little bit of love.
We do. I know I have been, and I'm sure many other therapists are seeing this. In my office, I don't have treats.
Right.
And so I'm doing this transition to telehealth, and I'm home more. And I know that when I get stressed, and this change has been stressful for me, and I know a lot of other therapists as well. And so I have this obsession with potato chips.
Me too.
I love them. And they make me feel so much better when I'm stressed. And so as therapists, as we're sitting in ourselves, right, not thinking about treating our clients, but like how do we navigate that emotional eating when I'm like, I need all the chips?
Yeah. It's a tough one. What I would say is, as much as it's okay to be seeking comfort in food right now, it's what we have to make sure is that food isn't the only sense and source of comfort, right? So typical coping skills that we would encourage our clients to think about, same for ourselves. In what other ways are we seeking comfort and care? Because that's the ultimate goal, right? That we're having a well-balanced, we're filling our basket with lots of different tools. So checking in with yourself and saying, okay, like right now, what do I need? Am I hungry? Am I lonely? Am I scared? Am I tired? Do I feel isolated? And what can I do today? And this is the biggest thing, is being present. Or maybe in this hour, what do I need to do to feel more comforted or feel like I'm managing my stress? And that might be, actually, I'm feeling lonely and scared and I want to call my mom. I've been there. I've done that about every day this week, right? It might be I'm just feeling really tired and I actually want to take a nap. It might be I actually really want some chips, and that's okay too. But kind of being curious about, I was like the whys, like why am I craving chips right now? Maybe I just want chips, right? Maybe I want to feel comforted from food. Maybe I'm also just really scared and I actually need to get off my news apps for a minute and go take a walk instead. So just being curious about what the feelings are that are coming up. And then the key is, again, if the answer is maybe I just want chips or maybe I want a chocolate chip cookie, how can we remove judgment? Again, there's not good or bad foods. Our food is food. And we've lived in a culture that perpetuates this fear around certain foods and treats. And really making sure that you're keeping an eye on the restriction that then can ultimately lead to some unhealthy behaviors.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And that's so important. I mean, we preach that as therapists too when we're having food cravings, right? Like I think about like what am I trying to fill? And oftentimes it's not really my stomach. It is I need a hug from my husband, or I need to go hold my dog, or right. It's usually something else. And when we check in intentionally, that can be so powerful to practice what we preach, but a lot of times we teach the lesson that we need the most.
Right.
And so if you find yourself teaching those things a lot as therapists, my recommendation would be like, what coping do you keep throwing out there that maybe you need yourself?
Mm-hmm. And there's some theories around like being curious about what it is that you're craving, right? So if you're craving sweets, it might be like I'm needing a little more love. Like how can I show myself that I'm needing some love? If you're craving like crunchy, like you might be really angry, and or scared, right? And so paying attention to is there any meaning behind what it is that you're actually craving. And then also, again, giving yourself permission if like you're craving oatmeal cookies because that's what your mom made you when you were a kid to help you feel better, that's also okay. It's okay to feel better through food. Again, it's just in what other areas are we accessing coping skills? What other ways are we making sure that we're taking care of ourselves?
Yes, so true. Thank you so much for that. I love those little tips. I hadn't thought about that before.
Yeah.
Been craving crunchy, or yeah, I love that.
They'll tell you something for sure. And if any buddy's ever interested, there's a phenomenal book called Intuitive Eating. That's the name of the book. It is not a diet plan because we know that diets don't work. And we could talk for like 6 hours about that, maybe more. But it is about kind of paying attention to what your body is asking for. And we become so disconnected from our bodies and what they're actually asking. It's really hard in this day and age to kind of navigate that. And there's a bunch of podcasts on that, and you can get the book on Amazon, I think, right now. And if you're curious of that, you can kind of check that out.
Yeah, so we got to look at our own relationship with food and body. And I know food, body, spirit is something that's really close to your heart.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So when we think about social distancing, right, which is actually really physical distancing because we still need to be social. Please be social, people, right? But how social distancing is so vital at this time in order to flatten the curve, and it's so important. And I'm just wondering, your thoughts on how social distancing is impacting people's sense of isolation.
This is the biggest thing that I'm noticing from my clients right now, and the volunteer group that I run is like, this is not good for my isolation. And what we know about eating disorders in particular is that they thrive in secrecy and in isolation. These are the two main things where an eating disorder can just go to town. So I think it's now, and that's for other addictions as well, depression, anxiety, other mental health issues. So I think it's imperative that we don't equate distancing with isolation, right? So, we all have bad days lately. I mean, I've had a day where I'm an extrovert and I didn't want to talk to anybody. So giving yourself permission to, like, if you need an afternoon, if you need a day to just wallow, like, that's okay. But making sure that that's not becoming a pattern, right? So it might take some more intentional efforts of, I was telling you, I'm setting up a Zoom happy hour with my college roommates today, right? It might be checking up on a neighbor, sending a text, hey, do you need anything I can bring to your porch? We really have to make intentional choices right now to connect in whatever ways that we can. I mean, I've talked to my mom every day, which has been like glorious, and that's not something that I normally do. So it's really kind of like holding yourself accountable. I would almost think of like even maybe a daily goal. If you know that isolation is an issue for you, like a daily goal of, I'm going to reach out to one person today, right? Just, we have to be like super intentional about it.
Yes, that's awesome. You have given us so much juicy information today. I love it. And I think we can all benefit from what you shared. And I so appreciate you coming on this call today and being a part of the Therapist Supporting Therapist Project.
It's an honor, and I think, like, to kind of go back to like the mind body connection. And I think it's really important in terms of therapists that we're also aware of our own stuff when it comes to our bodies. Just like with anything else, we bring our own stuff into sessions. And I think, if anyone's having a response to kind of the things that I'm saying here, and thinking like, gosh, like my relationship with my body could be a little bit better. I think there's two things that are important. It's self-awareness and education, right? So that first piece of what is our own attitude about weight? We live in a culture that stigmatizes weight gain, that's fat phobic. Kind of checking yourself and thinking like, what are my beliefs about food and body, and then educating yourself on diet culture. I need to like give a shout out to Christy Harrison. She does a podcast called Food Psych that's all about kind of some of the stuff that I'm talking about, educating yourself on the culture that we're living in, and even these little messages that kind of come across even in a harmless Instagram meme that's really, dangerous. I think it's important to know that COVID-19 doesn't care what you weigh. It doesn't care about what you eat or how often you work out. And what's happening to our bodies right now in terms of weight and food should be the least of our concerns. We're in unprecedented times. And that said, I just need to, if you are worried about it, that doesn't make you shallow or vain. It just means that you might be needing some extra support. And I think I always go back to, I'm kind of ACT trained. So I go back to values, right? In order to have a better relationship with our own bodies, our food, our spirit, and then helping our clients, like really doing some values work of how do we get a little bit deeper? What is truly important to you? What excites you? Because it very rarely will have to do with your body.
I love that. Yes, no food shaming or body shaming here.
Not the time for it. I mean, not ever, but definitely not the time for it.
I love that. And I absolutely love that about you. So do you have any last tips or tricks for therapists for surviving, whether it's eating disorder related or not, for surviving this COVID-19 thing as human beings?
If I had anything magical, I would say it. I think like really giving yourself space to be where you are. Like, having a good day, having a bad day, taking it truly day by day. Maybe it's an hour by hour. I've been up and down myself. I have days where I think everything's ending and I should go make a will. And, we all go down the rabbit hole. And then there's other days that are a little bit better. So I know for me, in order to be in a good headspace for my clients, like I said, it's really important for me that I'm practicing good self-care, that I am flexible. Things aren't going to go according to plan, that they don't see me rattled if the FedEx guy comes to the door and my dog's barking, like what just happened before we started recording, just like really being okay with just being human, you know, taking care of yourself. And then I love your point of I'm done with work for the day, because I think the thing that can happen is the next thing you know, it's like, oh, well, I'm home. I can add 4 other sessions, right? I can see people at night. I'm home. I'm not doing anything. Don't do that. Like, good boundaries, right? Like, you get to still have a life, and, you know, picking up new skills. And Brad and I play cards at night, and really being protective of your personal time as well, so that you don't burn out. So.
Yes, that's a really important point, to not try and like add a bunch of work just because, oh, I don't have my commute time. We still need our commute time.
Yes, absolutely. Don't do that. I've had some like joking conversations with like other therapists that are like, well, like maybe I can like work on weekends now. I'm like, no, 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 no. Your weekend is, you know, we got to take care of ourselves so we can take care of our people.
That is such a good point. We really do. And you gave us some great things to help take care of ourselves. And I love your wisdom. And I'm so excited that you're going to be my sister. And
me too. Oh, I'm getting tears.
Physical distancing, social distancing. All right. Well, I loved having you on. You are an amazing, beautiful human, and thank you so much. And this is Therapists Supporting Therapists, and thank you everybody for watching. Please like or subscribe and share to any mental health professional that you know, and let them know about this. And if you have an amazing talent or ability with therapy, and you have tips and tricks for other therapists, please reach out to me and let me know. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.